There will be moments when life hits you so hard that stopping feels easier than breathing. Moments when your heart whispers, I can't do this anymore. But something deeper inside you whispers louder, I must keep going. This message is for the fighter in you, the part of you that refuses to die, the part that knows you're meant for more even when the world tells you otherwise. Listen closely, because this is the reminder you've been waiting for. Number one, pain is temporary, progress is permanent. Pain is one of the most misunderstood forces in human life. Most people fear it, avoid it, and run from it the moment it appears. But pain, when looked at through the right lens, isn't an enemy. It's a messenger. It signals growth, transformation, and the breaking of old limits. Pain is the friction that appears whenever you're stretching beyond who you've been, and although it can feel overwhelming in the moment, it never stays forever. The intensity you feel today will fade, the discomfort will soften, and the weight you're carrying will eventually lighten. But the progress you build because you chose not to stop in moments of difficulty becomes part of you. It becomes woven into your identity, your habits, your strength, and your character. Pain passes, but the person you become because you endured is permanent. When you push through pain, you are teaching your mind and body a powerful lesson. I can handle more than I think. Every time you choose to move forward, even when your emotions scream at you to quit, you're building a deeper level of resilience. Resilience doesn't come from comfort. It's forged in discomfort, repetition, and perseverance. Think about the moments in your life when you grew the most. They weren't the easy days. They weren't the days where everything felt aligned and effortless. They were the days when you were tired, frustrated, uncertain, or even broken, but you got up anyway, you moved forward anyway. Those decisions, invisible to the world, created visible transformation within you, and that transformation never leaves. Pain may leave scars, but progress leaves power. Progress is permanent because it's cumulative. Every small step compounds, even when you don't notice it happening. One disciplined action might not change your life, but repeated over days, months, or years, it becomes unstoppable momentum. Pain shows up in the early stages, the soreness when you start training, the doubt when you begin learning something new, the frustration when results don't appear quickly. But progress builds quietly underneath. It's like planting a seed deep in the soil. At first, all you see is dirt, effort, and uncertainty. But beneath the surface, roots are forming, strength is forming, a foundation is forming. And eventually that growth becomes visible. Pain was only temporary. The growth was always the goal. Most people give up because they confuse temporary discomfort with permanent identity. They feel pain and assume it means they aren't capable, they aren't ready, or they aren't worthy. But pain doesn't mean stop. Pain often means you're exactly where you need to be. It's the threshold between who you are and who you're becoming. In moments of struggle, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? A more powerful question is, what is this building inside me? Because pain always builds something. Discipline, patience, strength, awareness, clarity, or character. It always leaves you with something valuable, even if the lesson takes time to understand. The truth is, progress lasts far beyond the moment of discomfort. The strength you gain, the identity you shape, the habits you reinforce, and the confidence you earn become part of you for life. Pain fades, but the version of you that rises because of it remains. Number two, your mind is the battlefield. Your mind is the most powerful force you will ever encounter, and it is also the place where the greatest battles of your life will be fought. Every decision, every action, every breakthrough, and every setback begins inside your head long before it appears in the world. The mind can be your greatest ally or your most destructive enemy, depending on which voice you choose to listen to. There is the voice of fear, doubt, and limitation. The voice that tries to convince you that you're not enough, that you'll fail, that you should stop. And then there is the voice of strength, conviction, and possibility. The voice that calls you to rise, to push forward, to believe in something greater than your circumstances. The battlefield is not outside. It is the invisible war between the stories you tell yourself and the ones you are capable of creating. Every day, your mind is flooded with thoughts that try to influence your direction. Some are rooted in past experiences, old traumas, or moments where you felt powerless. Others are rooted in dreams, goals, and the future you want to build. What people often don't realize is that these thoughts are not commands. They are suggestions. They are impulses competing for your attention. The battle begins the moment you decide which ones to empower. If you feed the thoughts that weaken you, they will grow stronger. If you feed the thoughts that empower you, they will dominate. This internal conflict shapes your destiny more than any external challenge you will face, because no obstacle in the world can defeat a person who has mastered their own mind. Your mind constantly creates narratives, and those narratives influence how you feel and how you act. When you tell yourself you're tired, you move like a tired person. When you tell yourself you're defeated, you act defeated. But when you tell yourself you are capable, powerful, and unbreakable, you begin to live in alignment with that identity. The battlefield is not about erasing negative thoughts. It's about overpowering them with stronger beliefs. It's about choosing to rewrite the story instead of letting the old one dictate your future. The people who rise in life are not the ones without doubts. They are the ones who decide not to obey their doubts. This battlefield is also shaped by focus. What you focus on expands. If you focus on everything that could go wrong, your mind will magnify fear. If you focus on your strengths, your possibilities, and the reasons you must keep moving, your mind becomes a weapon of purpose instead of a prison of hesitation. The mind does not naturally choose what is empowering. It naturally gravitates toward what is familiar. That means you must take control. You must train your thoughts the same way you train your body. Repetition builds mental muscle. Discipline builds mental clarity. Intentional thinking builds mental freedom. The truth is that most people lose the battle before they even take the first step, not because they lack ability, but because they allow their minds to convince them they're not ready. But readiness is not something you wait for. It is something you create by confronting the thoughts that try to limit you. When you understand that your mind is the primary battlefield, you also understand that victory begins long before the world sees any results. You win when you choose strength over fear, action over hesitation, purpose over doubt, and possibility over limitation. Number 3, small steps create big shifts. We live in a world that glorifies dramatic transformations, overnight success, and big breakthroughs. But the truth is that real lasting change rarely happens in giant leaps. It happens in small, consistent steps. Tiny decisions that feel insignificant in the moment but accumulate into something extraordinary over time. People often underestimate the power of small actions because they don't create instant results. But that's exactly what makes them powerful. Small steps are sustainable. Small steps are repeatable. Small steps bypass the resistance that usually stops people from taking action. And when repeated consistently, they create momentum strong enough to reshape your entire identity. Every great achievement you admire in others was built through small daily choices that nobody else saw. The athlete who dominates the field didn't start with peak performance. They started with small, deliberate practices repeated again and again. The entrepreneur who built a successful business didn't begin with a fortune. They began with simple actions taken consistently while facing uncertainty and fear. The person who transformed their body didn't begin with perfect discipline. They began by choosing one workout, one meal, one decision at a time. These examples show a universal truth. Massive shifts are created through microscopic beginnings. The first step is never about being perfect. It's about being willing. Small steps are powerful because they compound. One day of effort might feel meaningless, but 10 days create a pattern. 30 days create progress, 90 days create transformation, 6 months create a completely different reality. This compounding effect is invisible at first, which is why so many people quit before they experience the reward. They mistake quiet progress for lack of progress. But underneath the surface, new habits are forming, new neural pathways are being built, new levels of discipline are being shaped. What starts as a small step becomes a routine, and that routine becomes part of your identity. And once something becomes part of who you are, change becomes effortless. Another reason small steps create big shifts is that they reduce overwhelm. When you focus on the full mountain in front of you, you paralyze yourself. The goal feels too big, too far, too impossible. But when you focus on just one small step, one email, one workout, one chapter, one task, You remove the weight of the entire journey and replace it with something manageable. It's easy to take one step. It's doable to show up for 5 minutes. The mind doesn't resist what feels small and safe, and that allows you to build consistency without triggering fear or procrastination. Over time, these small steps accumulate into confidence, and confidence fuels bigger actions. The magic of small steps is that they eventually create identity shifts. When you consistently take even the smallest action, you begin to see yourself differently. You prove to yourself that you can follow through. You prove that you are capable of discipline. You prove that improvement is possible. And once your identity shifts, your behavior naturally elevates. You no longer take small steps because you're forcing yourself. You take them because that's who you have become. The new identity grows stronger, and with it, your results multiply. Small steps may not look impressive in the beginning, but they are the quiet architects of every major transformation in your life. Number 4. Failure is feedback, not a full stop. Failure is one of the most powerful teachers you will ever encounter, yet most people treat it as a dead end. They see it as a final judgment on their ability, their worth, or their future. But failure was never meant to be a full stop. It was meant to be a comma, a pause that redirects you, teaches you, and strengthens you. Every time you fail, you are being given information. Information about what works, what doesn't, where you need to grow, and what you need to refine. Failure doesn't close the path, it illuminates it. It points you toward a better strategy, a deeper understanding, and a more resilient version of yourself. When you begin to see failure as feedback instead of defeat, your entire relationship with growth changes. Failure carries lessons that success will never teach. Success feels good, but it rarely forces you to examine yourself or your approach. Failure, however, is honest. It doesn't lie, it doesn't flatter, and it doesn't mask your weaknesses. It exposes them clearly and undeniably, not to shame you, but to show you exactly where you need to evolve. The discomfort you feel after failing is not a sign that you're incapable. It's a sign that you've reached the edge of your current abilities. That edge is the place where transformation begins. When you hit a wall, you're not being told to retreat. You're being invited to climb higher, push harder, think differently, and become more than you were before. People who achieve great things are not the ones who avoid failure. They are the ones who refuse to misinterpret it. They understand that every failed attempt is simply data. It's information that shapes the next attempt. Instead of asking why is this happening to me, they ask, what is this teaching me? They don't collapse under the weight of disappointment because they know failure is temporary, but the growth that comes from it is permanent. They see failure as a refining process, a way to sharpen their skills, upgrade their mindset, and strengthen their resilience. Every mistake becomes a stepping stone, every setback becomes a setup for a stronger return, and every obstacle becomes an opportunity for innovation. When you shift your mindset and see failure as feedback, something profound happens inside you. You stop fearing action. You stop hesitating. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You become willing to experiment, to try, to learn, to adjust. This willingness creates confidence, and confidence fuels progress. The people who grow the fastest are the ones who take the most swings, not because they're reckless, but because they understand that each swing, even the missed ones, teaches them how to hit the next one better. Over time, these lessons compound, and what once felt like a failure becomes the foundation of mastery. Failure only becomes a full stop when you choose to stop learning from it. But when you extract the feedback, when you use the information, when you rise with more clarity than you had before, failure transforms from something painful into something powerful. It becomes a tool that shapes your direction, sharpens your purpose, and strengthens your identity. Each time you stand back up, you come back wiser, bolder, and more prepared than you were the last time, because failure didn't end your journey. It refined you for the next step. Number 5, commitment over motivation. Motivation is a fleeting force. It comes and goes like a wave, often arriving just long enough to give you a temporary boost, only to disappear when you need it most. That's why relying solely on motivation to achieve your goals is a trap. Motivation alone is unreliable because it depends on feelings, circumstances, and external factors, things you cannot control. Some days you will wake up energized, inspired, and ready to conquer the world. Other days you will feel exhausted, uninspired, or overwhelmed. If you only move when you feel motivated, your progress will be inconsistent, your results will be limited, and your dreams will remain distant. That is why commitment is far more powerful than motivation. Commitment does not wait for a feeling. Commitment acts regardless of circumstances, emotions, or mood. It is the unwavering promise you make to yourself to follow through no matter what. Commitment is what separates people who talk about their goals from people who actually achieve them. Motivation can give you the spark, but commitment keeps the fire burning long after the spark fades. It is a decision, a deliberate choice to continue, even when you don't feel like it. Commitment is what allows you to show up on the days you're tired, frustrated, or uncertain. It is what makes you do the work when the world isn't cheering you on, when nobody is watching, and when the results haven't appeared yet. Motivation will push you forward in moments of inspiration, but commitment keeps you moving forward when your emotions fail, when obstacles appear, and when setbacks threaten to make you quit. One of the most powerful aspects of commitment is its ability to create consistency. Success is rarely a result of occasional effort. It is the result of persistent, disciplined action over time. When you are committed, your actions become predictable, reliable, and unstoppable. You no longer rely on feelings